Hello, friends and family. This video is designed specifically for you. If you have somebody in your family who's raising a child with a disability, and maybe you don't know what to do, maybe you don't know what to say, then this video is for you. Let's get into it. My name is Michelle Thorne, and I am the mother of two amazing autistic children and the founder and executive director of Care for the Caregivers.
Hi guys, my name's Gabby and I'm the other co-founder here at Care for the Caregivers, who also identifies as a disabled woman herself. So I'm really excited to be talking to you guys about this today.
The first bit of advice I would give to any family member who has a child with a disability around them is to check in on your loved one, check in on the caregiver, check in on the parent. It's a lot. I'm not going to lie, it's a lot having a child with a disability, and it's very difficult emotionally. And there is usually nobody there who is checking on the parent, who is asking the parent, are you okay? I mean, it hardly ever happens. And we go in and out of doctor's offices, of therapist offices. And to be honest, we feel completely invisible. And I think as a loved one, as somebody who might be concerned about the caregiver, just check in. Just say, really, are you okay? Really, how can I give you support? What is it that you need? And come from a very sincere place. And, you know, it's very interesting, the stuff that we need as parents of kids with disabilities are not really the things that other parents need, right? Often we need breaks. We need time away from our kid. We need time to recharge our batteries. There was a time when I honestly looked at my mom and I said, the best way you can help me is to bring me dinner tonight. I was like, that was it. Because I couldn't find time to even cook for my family. I couldn't find time to do laundry. She actually did laundry for us for a little while because I could not figure out how to work it in, and I was so exhausted by the end of the day. So really check in, ask them if they're doing okay, offer them breaks, ask them what kind of support that they need.
Yeah, they're going to be the ones that know the best, right? Like they're going to be the experts in the situation, not experts as in they have all the answers, but experts in how it feels for them and what it looks like for them. And so being able to communicate with them, I think, is super important. And we want to be able to do that with empathy versus sympathy. So for anybody that doesn't know the difference, when we're talking to someone with empathy, we're talking to them from a place of understanding.
Yeah.
We're talking to them from a place of, I know how you feel. You don't have to have been in the exact same situation to be empathetic, but being able to say, like, I know what it feels like to feel alone, or I know what it feels like to be overwhelmed, versus sympathy is more like the, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry you're going through that.
Oh my
And
gosh, yes.
we really just want your friends and family to be able to come to you from that vulnerable place where you can be more empathetic as opposed to sympathetic. And Brene Brown has a great video on this. We're big Brene Brown fans here, so we're going to link that video in the description below as well. And I think another really important thing to talk about here when we're talking about really supporting those caregivers in your life is to educate yourself on their child's disability. I can tell you from experience as a disabled person, people have a lot of questions. They have a lot of questions. They want to know a lot of information. And where I'm in a place where I don't mind answering all of those questions, somebody that's new to this experience can find that really overwhelming. Mm-hmm. So we want to be able to educate ourselves so that we can come to them with a different level of understanding and really show them that we care.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that, Gabby. And I love what you had to say about the don't say, oh, I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh, you guys, that is like the hardest thing. It's the worst because think about how you're framing it, right? Like, I'm so sorry you have this kid with a disability. And again, it just reinforces that stigma of the disability being a horrible, bad thing, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And so when I meet new parents, we talk to a lot of caregivers, right? The first thing I say is I don't say, "Oh, I'm so sorry." I will literally look at the parent and say, "Oh, how are you doing? Are you doing okay? How are things going? Do you need help getting resources, whatever?" But it's never, "Oh, I'm so sorry." So see if you can remove that from your vocabulary for sure. The other thing, treat these parents, your parents, the caregivers, as the expert on their child. I cannot tell you how often, and I know people do this to parents in general, right? People like to give advice. They like to, try to be helpful about, well, maybe have you tried this or have you tried that? Give those parents a break. Give the caregivers a break, right?
Because we can say 9 times out of 10, yes, they have.
Yeah,
They've
right.
read it, they've tried it, they've looked at it, they're doing it all.
Yes, yes. And so treat the parents as the expert on their child. And I remember this one time with my mom. She very well meaning, very cute, very sweet. But she, as soon as Jackson was diagnosed with autism, she started doing all this research on autism and she would come over with, "Oh, I read this and I printed this out for you and I read this and no, you should read this. Did you read this?" I'm like, "Oh my God." So yes, educate yourself, but also be gentle about how you try to share that information with your caregiver. So my mom and I kind of figured out a way to work through this, and she would just email articles to me and say, "When you have time, this was really cool." And I'm like, "Okay, that's great. That means that like we're not rushing into a conversation about something. She's just gonna leave it for me in my inbox and I can get to it when I have time to get to it." And that was really, really wonderful way to do that.
And she still gets to share it with you,
Yes.
which is ultimately her goal, right?
Yeah.
She wants to feel included. She wants to feel like part of the process. So I think that's a really great way to do it.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing to think about here is to treat their child like you would treat any other child. If they are your niece or your nephew, treat them like you would any of your other nieces or nephews. If they're a member of the family or the child of a good friend, like how would you treat that child in those situations? Because when you segregate them from those experiences, again, we're feeding into that message of like your child is different and your child should be treated differently because of this disability. And when you can really come at it from the lens of inclusion and make sure they're part of that experience, it's going to make the parents feel better and more included, and it's going to make the kids happier. So
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's so important because so many of our families end up feeling very isolated, right? Like we stop going to family events, we
yeah,
stop going to things, and a lot of times it's because our kids are often ignored or not made part of the fun, or parent the other people there just don't know how to interact with them. And so Gabby is like spot on, right? Just treat them like you would any other kid because they're just a kid. The last thing I want to say is to give these caregivers grace. Oh my God. We need a lot of grace, guys. Like a lot of grace. Most of us who are raising kiddos with disabilities, we didn't necessarily sign up for that. There are a lot of really amazing people out there who adopt a lot of kids with disabilities, but very often disability just kind of happens and it's not anything that we're expecting and it's not anything that we're prepared for at all. And it's a lot. I'll just say that it's a whole nother vocabulary. It's all these different systems that you have to learn how to navigate. It's all these different doctors and therapy appointments and advocacy and battles just to have your kids' basic human rights fulfilled. I can't even tell you the stories that we hear from caregivers. And so, if you see these caregivers and maybe they look tired and maybe they look exhausted and maybe they look completely stressed out, they are. They are completely stressed out. They are completely exhausted. They are walking around with PTSD. And so I think the more you can do to just be there to support them and to see them and to give them grace, it's just going to make everything better for everybody.
yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And I think from a mental health standpoint too, if they can have those support systems where they know it's a judgment-free environment, that speaks volumes and helps them more than you guys will ever know.
Yeah. I hope this video has been helpful for you guys. We do offer a grandparent connection class if you're ever interested in learning more about how you can be a support to your child and how you can connect on a better level with your grandchild. Please check out those courses in that class. We do them over Zoom, and we do them in person here in Arizona, but we would love to see you. We hope this video has been helpful for you when it's a difficult space to navigate, and sometimes you just don't know what to do and what to say. And hopefully this gave you a little bit of insight into how to be a supportive person to that parent, to that caregiver who's raising a child with a disability.
Bye, guys.